when things are happening, we can kind of pretend they're not happening. We can go on as if they're not happening, but eventually we have to face reality that it's happening, and we can't deny it. It's taking place. In 1974 and 75, I was a car salesman. I worked at a Ford dealership and sold cars. I was a better used car salesman than a new car salesman, but um, I did sell cars, and we would get a demonstrator to drive. Um, at the beginning of the model year, we could order whatever we wanted from the factory. We could choose the color, the options. When they would order in, they would let us order whatever we wanted. Then we would drive that car, usually for about 6 months. And when it had 5 or 6 thousand miles on, we were supposed to turn it in. And then our second demonstrator of the year would be a car that we would choose off of the lot that they had in stock. So when the 1974 models came out, I ordered a 1974 Mustang II Ghia. I got the Ghia model, which was the fancy trim, and it was a really nice little car. Uh, I ordered silver, which I loved the color, and vinyl roofs were a thing then, and I got a half vinyl roof. Just the back of the roof was vinyl. So it was silver with a black half vinyl roof and a black interior. It was a sharp little car. And I didn't load it up with a lot of options, so it wasn't an overly expensive car, but it looked nice and it drove nice. I really liked that car. I had toyed around with the idea of buying it, but we didn't really need a car, and so I knew I wasn't going to buy it. I love driving that car. I like the color. I like the style. I really like that little car. And so I got up to where I had 5,000 miles on it. I just kept driving it. Up to where I had 6,000 miles on it. I just kept driving it. And I didn't want to turn it in. But I knew I should. And the longer it went, the more I felt guilty for driving it. But I didn't want to give it up. Finally, I got that car up to about 8,000 miles. And then one day, I was on duty at the dealership, and the owner of the dealership, Dick Runkle, he said, Merle, I need to run downtown. Can I take your demonstrator and run downtown? I was like, yeah, sure. So he took my demonstrator. He went downtown. When he came back, he said, you need to take a used car home tonight. I'm keeping the keys to your demonstrator. He parked it with the used cars. It was actually in the morning. So when I went home at lunchtime, I took a used car home. Well, because we would have to drive a used car until our demonstrator was sold. Then we could get another demonstrator off the lot. So Dick called me into his office and before I left at lunch, and he said, "You know what our policy is. You know that when your car has 5 or 6 thousand miles on, you're supposed to turn it in. You didn't do that, and you know what? That car now has over 8,000 miles on. We're going to have trouble selling that car, and you don't do that. You don't drive your demonstrator that many miles because then it's hard to sell it, and you need to turn it in when it has 5 or 6 thousand miles on it." I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I like the car, but anyway, I apologized, but I felt bad. I felt really bad, and I took a used car home. I was on duty that evening, so I came back in at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and the salesman that had been on duty for the afternoon was there, and I saw my demonstrator wasn't parked with the used cars anymore. So I thought, well, maybe they took it to clean it up. And so I asked the salesman that was on duty in the afternoon. I asked him, I said, where's my demonstrator? What did they do with it? And he said, oh, I sold it this afternoon. He said, some guy came in, looked at it, that's just what he wanted, and he bought it. And so it's parked out back with the cars that are sold, and he's going to pick it up in a day or two. Oh, I was so relieved. Um, but, I had done something. I knew better. I knew what the policies were. And I kind of talked myself into thinking, well, it'll be okay and nobody will know. And but all the time I was doing that, I was getting more and more miles on my demonstrator. The problem was getting worse, not better. And so it would have been better if I would have just admitted, you know what, my demonstrator has enough of miles on, I need to turn it in and sell it and get another one.